Let's talk about Kindle Unlimited and the question that you're probably asking yourself, which is it actually worth it? I've been using Kindle Unlimited for about a year now, and whether you're a romance reader, a fiction fan, or just someone who loves books in general, I have some thoughts. So let's break down the pros, the cons, and who might get the most out of using it, including a special little shout out to all my No Spice readers because I think Kindle Unlimited could be really perfect for you. So first off, in case you're new to it, Kindle Unlimited is Amazon's book subscription service. It costs $11.99 a month plus tax, and this gives you access to their 4 million plus titles, of which you can borrow up to 20 at a time. And the catalog is also ever changing, so think of it kind of like a streaming service. They're constantly adding new books and also pulling books off. Let's dive into the pros of Kindle Unlimited first because there's a lot. So the first pro is that Kindle Unlimited really offers an amazing value if you are a heavy reader. So when you think about the $11.99 a month subscription cost you're paying, that would not even get you maybe one physical book at like Barnes & Noble or something, and maybe an ebook or two online because they're a little bit cheaper. So if you're reading more than one physical book or maybe two ebooks a month, this really is an unbeatable price value. Another pro is that it is really easy and accessible to discover new authors on Kindle Unlimited. Their catalog is full of indie and lesser known authors across every genre. So you might find books you would never see on Book Talk or BookTube or even in stores. So I love to just get on and kind of scroll through almost like you're browsing in a bookstore, but browsing digitally the Kindle Unlimited bookstore to see what might catch my eye and what new authors I might want to try out. And speaking of being able to try things out, I think Kindle Unlimited is also a great way to try out new books, authors, new genres without having to pay full price or actually commit to buying the book. So if you're not sure if you'll love something, it's a great way to be able to test out books and kind of find what you love to read, especially if you're newer to reading. Another big pro is the flexibility and convenience that Kindle Unlimited offers, especially being a part of the Amazon Kindle ecosystem. So you can read anywhere on any device and your progress will sync across all of them. So I can read on my iPad and then switch to my phone and switch to my Kindle, and it's going to track that across all my devices. Plus, you also have the flexibility to cancel your membership at any time if you don't feel like you're using it enough. Sometimes you can also pause it, which is a really nice feature if maybe you're on the holidays, you're not reading as much or you're reading more at different times, and you can kind of adjust it to your reading needs. Pro number 5 is honestly one of my favorites, and that is that it's so easy to keep your reading rotation going. So you can always have up to 20 books downloaded at a time, so you have tons of options at your fingertips and never run out of things to read. I talked about this, I think, in my How to Be a Better Reader video, which has lots of tips. If you're interested, I'll link it. But having a book in the queue, like your next book ready to go when you finish a book, I feel like really helps you to keep your reading momentum and read more books if that is a goal you have. And so Kindle Unlimited could also really help you with that. For example, I normally sit down at like the beginning of each season. I did this for fall, and then I just recently did it for Christmas books, and just go through and download a bunch of Kindle Unlimited books. I also go through Libby and just kind of get my Kindle stocked for the season. And Kindle Unlimited is a great way to do this, especially around the holidays. I've kind of already touched on this already, but another huge pro is that Kindle Unlimited is basically like a library in your pocket. I love to go visit my local library. I also use Libby and things like that, but having access to Kindle Unlimited is just like having another library card with tons of titles that you can borrow from, and I just really love having this extra catalog to choose from. And my last pro is that Kindle Unlimited is actually really great for niche readers. So for example, for all of my No Spice readers out there, Kindle Unlimited is like a hidden treasure trove of so many indie authors, lesser known authors, also No Spice authors that we love, whose books and whole series are on Kindle Unlimited, and sometimes they are harder to find other places. And so I definitely think if you are a No Spice reader, Kindle Unlimited is something you should look into. Also, if you are a No Spice reader and you are wondering what books or authors to even look for on Kindle Unlimited, I would highly recommend checking out my new website. I'm so excited about this. It's called nospicebooks.com, and on there you can find tons of authors and titles that won't have any spice or will be closed door. I'm working on adding a feature where the website will show if they're on Kindle Unlimited, which would be so fun, so stay tuned for that. But for now, definitely go check that out for what titles to be searching for. Now, of course, there are some downsides to Kindle Unlimited, so let's talk about those now. So the first con is that not all popular titles are going to be included. So if you're someone who loves to read like big new releases, popular authors, this might not be the best option for you, especially if you're wanting to read them like right when they come out. A lot of times popular books or new releases will kind of rotate in and out of the catalog, or it will take a few months or a year for them to be added. However, this is also true of if you were borrowing the book from the library. It would take a while for them to maybe purchase a new release, and then there might be holds or things like that. So this is similar, I would say, to the library. The only way you're going to get a new big release on release day is probably to go buy it. The second con is kind of a mirror image of one of the pros, and that is that Kindle Unlimited can be pricey if you aren't a huge reader. So if you're only reading a book or two a month, Kindle Unlimited for $11.99 might not feel worth it when maybe you could just buy an ebook and a book from a used bookstore for a little bit cheaper. So I would definitely say to consider how much you're reading in a month and how much you would be spending, or if you're using the library or whatever on those books, to kind of calculate if the $11.99 plus tax is worth it for you or not. And the last con is also a similar kind of mirror image, double-edged sword of one of the pros, and that is that you are using the Amazon ecosystem versus local bookstores or libraries or things like that. And so while that does come with a lot of pros and convenience, like we already talked about, it's also not the same as supporting local or libraries or things like that. However, I think you can very easily do both. I use Kindle Unlimited and I go to my local library, I borrow through Libby, I shop at bookstores, and so I think that there's definitely a way to balance all of these borrowing methods. And also, if you didn't know, Amazon actually pays authors who are on Kindle Unlimited per page. So if you're reading a book on Kindle Unlimited, I like to think about how every time I turn the page, they're making a little bit of money and I'm supporting them in that way. So overall, is Kindle Unlimited worth it? If you are going to read a book or two from Kindle Unlimited a month, then it's at least worth the price, plus the added convenience of having tons of options at your fingertips. If you're a No Spice reader, I 1000% think it's worth it because there are so many No Spice books and authors on Kindle Unlimited. So many of our favorites, and oftentimes their books are on there the day they're released and you can download them immediately. So I think Kindle Unlimited is a great way for us to support closed door, No Spice indie authors while also reading what we love. If you mostly only read big name new releases right when they come out, or you're only reading maybe one book a month, it might not be worth it for you right now. But if you love having access to tons of titles instantly and discovering new favorites, it might be worth giving it a try. Okay, I would love to hear from you guys. Do you use Kindle Unlimited? Have you ever tried it? What are your thoughts? And don't forget to subscribe if you love discovering new books, especially No Spice books, which also don't forget to check out my new website, nospicebooks.com, for tons of options. You can find lots of them on Kindle Unlimited. Lastly, if you're in the market to get a Kindle or get a new Kindle, I will link my Kindle videos here for you to see maybe what option or model might be best for you. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. Take care, friends.